Got a question for you. Does the NHL have an issue with boarding calls or boarding penalties? How they're calling them?
I think boys just like to run guys from behind.
Well, you can't.
No, you can't. No, I mean, some of these, I mean, I think one out of the three was a legitimate, like, from behind boarding. But
Right.
the other two we can get into discussion on. Because I think
that's what I was going to ask you about.
Questionable on both sides of the hit.
Right. So the first one I wanted to bring up was Evander Kane's. He hits Brodin. No penalty at all. What were your thoughts on that play? I know Baller will probably put a clip up so people can see it, but
I try to play both sides of the fence and just be honest on, like, if I was the guy receiving the check and the guy on the forward check, being a reckless guy that I was, wanting to crush guys, but also having some bit of a brain going in there, that one and the Cousins hit were some bit similar. I mean, Brodin's looking over his left shoulder.
He sees him.
He sees him, obviously aware of a forechecker. And he goes back for the puck. He reverses up the left side, whatever he lands up doing with it. And then, to me, you always got to put yourself in a position that you're not going to get hurt, right? It's like you have to protect yourself. But knowing that, first of all, you have a forechecker, and it's Evander Kane, who's probably going to finish it, right?
Oh, yeah, he's going
to either slow down to absorb it or just put yourself in a better position to receive it. I mean, a combination of the two. So that's the onus on the guy receiving the check. If I'm Evander Kane and I see a situation like that's, especially knowing the way the game's gone the last, several years, and obviously protecting the players, not like it was back in the day where you just pulverize a guy in a bad position. I think he's got to ease up a little bit and see how this thing plays out.
Right.
I watched it in slow-mo several times. I mean, I don't think it's a quote-unquote hit from behind. It's certainly different than the Eric Robinson hit, where his back is clearly facing him. This guy's turning to go back. He's aware of the pressure. I don't know that it's a penalty. There's no penalty called.
Well, there wasn't one called.
I mean, you could definitely give him a 2-minute minor on that one. Just be like just more aware, right?
Yeah.
So maybe I'll change my stance on that. Maybe there's a 2-minute minor, that needs to be assessed there.
Okay.
But I also believe, like, again, the guy receiving the hit, like, you got to be.
We've talked about this.
Yeah, I mean, you got to put yourself in a situation that's safer,
especially if you see the guy, right? Like, as a player, like, I can't talk on it, but he does do what you're supposed to do. He has a look.
Yep.
So I've seen I've seen how many games. Usually a guy will kind of turn himself, and you're going back to get that puck. You got balls, first of all, to go get it. Maybe try to protect yourself or maybe he's thinking, well, I've got my back to him. He sees numbers. I'm not going to get hit, but I don't know if that's the way to think about it, because obviously your guys are getting hit.
Yeah. Yeah, and guys are doing that as a defense mechanism. They're turning their backs to the play.
Which I don't think is smart.
I don't think that's smart at all. I mean, we'll get into it, like the Eric Robinson hit there on Justin Barron, like, it's going like a D-to-D around the wall. His back is facing him. Like, he's just like
he's got a few strides away.
Yeah, and he's already in position like that. He didn't turn his back to defend himself. Right. It's a little different situation. Eric Robinson's got to stop. He can't run the guy over on that one.
And he got a 5-minute major. And I think that's a good call.
That's a good call. Yeah,
because he had strides to get there, and he's at the boards, numbers.
Exactly, and that one's a little more clear cut. These ones we're talking about with Evander Kane and Nick Cousins, like, they're kind of similar plays, both going back.
Right.
On the one, Brodin's looking to the left, the other one, Gerbranson's looking to the right. But nonetheless, it's always about, like, awareness of the pressure, and then putting yourself in a better situation where you're not so vulnerable for a hit, right? And
Gerbranson on the Cousins hit, he's a veteran. He's been around. I wonder if in his mind maybe he doesn't know who it is, but if he sees it's Cousins, he's not going to hit me. But still, even for a veteran player like Goody there, I feel like he didn't do a very good job of protecting himself.
I agree. He could have turned his shoulders, been a little more square, because
he got low too.
Cuzzy didn't go shoulder to mid back and pulverize him from behind.
Right.
It was actually shoulder to shoulder. Just the way his shoulder went into the boards looked like it was from behind. Again, I would say the same thing on Cuzzy too. Like, forechecking that hard on on a guy that's going to be in a vulnerable situation, you might want to ease up and maybe get like an 80% hit on it, like where it's a little safer. Because you got to play both sides of it. It's such a fast game. You know, the guys aren't going in there to hurt anybody, like legitimately hurt them. You're going in to finish your check, but two very similar situations. So fast. But I think, again, onus on both guys. Knowing a guy is going to be putting himself in a vulnerable situation, you got to be a little more mindful.
Right.
But being the guys getting hit, like, remember what happened in the days where you push yourself up against the boards so the guy would almost bounce off you,
right?
And or slowing the guy down on the forecheck and just kind of bracing yourself and going to get the puck, scooping it out and making a play.
Right.
I remember there's a couple guys back in the day that used to put themselves in bad spots. I think Yoni Pickett might have been one of them, like 2 or 3 feet away from the boards going back for pucks. And guys are just crushing you, and you're going, you know, you have that extra space to go into the boards, looks ugly.
Yes.
Or if you just went up against the boards, you absorb the hit, and the guy might bounce off you. It's just a safer play. So, well, we could beat this one around all day long. To me, it's both sides of the fence. They're kind of like touch and go plays. You know, again, because, you know, obviously the NHL reviews these, and if there was a suspension warranted, they would have given them one.
Right.
So they're obviously on the side of the fence where it's not that bad. It just looks worse. You know, and game's fast, the game's physical. Again, you got to know where you're getting hit.
Yeah.
I mean, both guys shoulder checked. They knew.
Right.
The guys were coming.
Yeah.
But they also didn't know they were going to get absolutely T-boned for it either. But again, that's the game you're playing. I mean, awareness is a big part of this.
Yeah, we, like you said, we've talked about that before, but I wanted to get your take on it because you obviously played the game.
How would you have played that out in men's league?
In men's league, well, you really think you're not going to get hit, so you can't. I don't know what I would have done, but I don't think I would have. I would have just gone and tried to circle around the net, I guess. But you're also not getting hit in men's league. I know. But I know you're kidding.
What would you do if you were the forechecker? Would you just crush him?
Oh, right through the non-base.
Yeah. Right through the non-base.